It's 5:30, so welcome everyone to the Ottumwa City Council meeting. I'm gonna call the meeting to order, and if everybody would rise for the pledge of allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Chris will take the roll.
Councilmember Hoffman.
Here.
Councilmember McIntyre.
Here.
Councilmember Cavanagh.
Here.
Councilmember Reed.
Here.
Councilmember Galloway. Here. Mayor Johnson.
Here. The next item is to approve part one of the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Second. Chris will take the roll.
Councilmember Hoffman.
Yes.
Councilmember McIntyre.
Yes.
Councilmember Cavanagh.
Yes.
Councilmember Reed.
Yes.
Councilmember Galloway.
Yes.
The next item is to approve part two of our consent agenda tonight. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Chris will take the roll.
Councilmember Hoffman.
Yes.
Councilmember McIntyre.
Yes.
Councilmember Cavanagh.
Yes.
Councilmember Reed.
No.
Councilmember Galloway.
Yes.
Now we need to approve the agenda for tonight's city council meeting. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second. Chris will take the roll.
Councilmember Hoffman.
Yes.
Councilmember McIntyre.
Yes.
Councilmember Cavanagh.
Yes.
Councilmember Reed.
Yes.
Councilmember Galloway.
Yes.
The next item is our city administrator's report to council and the citizens of Ottumwa. So I'll turn it over to Phil Rath, our city administrator.
All right. Thank you, Honorable Mayor. The first item I have for the city council and citizens is an update, the report from Main Street Ottumwa. And I guess maybe we'll introduce the new executive director, Chris Patrick. And I'm sure she'll tell maybe just a little bit about herself as part of the presentation.
Well, thank you, Phil. Now I will. I'll tell you a little bit about myself. And thank you, Mayor, City Council, and City staff for letting us have this opportunity to update you on what all our partnership is doing for downtown Ottumwa. I have been in the Main Street world for over 10 years. I was in Sheraton, starting that program in 2012 for 5 years. And then an opportunity in Fort Dodge, a community of 25,000 came up to restart that program up there, and I jumped into that. It was absolute amazing time. So I have worked in a community about the size of Ottumwa. So thank you for letting us do this tonight, and I appreciate the board of Main Street hiring me, and here we go, right? So I think most of you know that Main Street Ottumwa is a 501c3 volunteer-run nonprofit, and we foster vibrancy and a dynamic and healthy downtown through community engagement and community and collaborative partnerships like the one we have with the city, GoPip, Legacy, and Meet Ottumwa, along with others. And here is our fabulous board of 10 people. So all of these people are hands-on board of directors. They actually are on committees. AJ is our ED chair, Economic Vitality. Kara is our promotion chair. Connie is our design chair. Claudia Gates, which isn't on that slide, is our organization chair. And Colby Mercer is really our liaison with the schools, so we can get volunteers, youth volunteers, into our program, including Isabel Hoffman, who serves on design. And Kristen Russell is working on our neighborhood coalition that we're working on. So here we are. Here is the staff of Main Street. We are missing Lucas. He is our newest member of the Green and Clean team. Rich is taking Sue's space after she left. And then Lindsay Newland is our business specialist, leader for our Business Builder Academy, and guru for our website. I should have brought a drink. Okay, so back in May, Carol Lilly, who is now the director of Main Street Iowa, came and worked with our organization to create transformational strategies for our organization. These are mandated by Main Street America. So we have local benchmarks, state benchmarks. You are amazing. Thank you.
Soul served.
I feel so special.
Not
Okay.
enough for reelection.
Okay, he gets a gold star for me. All right, so that did help. Thank you so much. So, being an accredited Main Street community actually means that we have to hit our benchmarks or we lose our accreditation. And this year, we are so excited to have Main Street America coming to do our accreditation. So it's not just state staff that's going to evaluate us, it's the national staff. And they really are determined that we're hitting our benchmarks. So you can see our strategy, flip back for a second, I was moving my hands. So you can see our strategies up there. I'm not gonna read all of those. I will tell you that our neighborhood association that we're trying to create through residents, building and property owners to really figure out what our residents are wanting in the downtown. That is something that Kristen's working on, and our goal is 15 new residents in the downtown this year. So supporting businesses is something we do through a lot of different facilities. Lindsay really leads the Business Builder Academy, and we actually have graduates throughout the county, not just in the downtown. And I'll talk about that in a minute. We also daily are face-to-face with property and business owners. So we're doing succession planning, we're doing business planning, we're pulling Main Street Iowa staff in to do those confidential visits. And we had design staff in last week to review 6 different projects in the district for design services. So pretty excited about that. And then the last one, I think, is our biggest challenge because we're terrible at telling our story. We just are. Our heads are down, we're doing our work, and we forget to tell the paper what we're doing. We forget to post it online. So Main Street is really saying, tell your story better. So that's really the one that we have to jump in and fix. So Main Street is also a leader, not just on the state level, but also the national level. The Business Builder Academy, we have people across the nation calling to talk to Lindsay so they can replicate her program. Not just hers, Fred helped her too, but she's really the one that instigates and builds that program and makes it viable every year, year after year, through 21 graduates. So we are also a self-supported municipal improvement district. And what that means is we administer those funds. That chart is showing the breakdown through April of how that money is distributed, mainly as economic vitality, then beautification and maintenance. We have 9 property owners on that committee that direct how those funds are going, and they are voting next month for how that funds are going to be going in 2026. And here are the boundaries for the district. We go from Marion to Jefferson, 4th Street down to the river, and that is our district. And this chart also really divides out that assessed value tax-wise. So you can see that that zone 3 that pays the highest is closest to Jefferson Bridge.
Chris, can I ask a question?
Sure.
How much money does usually the Smith district have to allocate every year roughly?
So roughly this last year was 35,000. So we divided that out. And so at the end of the fiscal year, you're gonna see those numbers change a little bit because typically beautification and economic vitality are closer to that 50% together than what that chart showed. So we also, with the SMID money, we purchased a sidewalk sweeper, thanks to Holly, our board president. And it's something she's been wanting for quite a while. And so what that does, it actually is almost like a push vacuum. And we are working along with the street sweeper so we can really pull that stuff out of those bump outs and along those sidewalks so we can make the downtown even cleaner. And so Rich and Lucas are working on that one. And this is their budget. This is the downtown maintenance plan contract that we have with the city. That's roughly $40,000 a year. And you will see the majority of that fund goes toward the contract labor. This chart does not represent all the plants that have been purchased over the last 30 or 40 days. So those numbers again will change. We're at about 60% of our budget right now.
Can you kind of, just for the benefit of the public, talk a little bit about how you kind of changed the plant design in downtown? It's gonna look a little different this year.
Well, it is gonna look different. So Fred had created a plan before he retired to really turn things into more perennial. So we're not buying annuals year after year. You know, over time, you're spending thousands and thousands of dollars. So instead of a $15,000 plant budget this year, we're down to about $5,000. So we really are saving that money and making sure that we're investing in plants that are gonna hopefully grow year after year, and then purchasing tools and inventorying everything that we have so we know from year to year what we need, so we're not buying duplicates. So that we're just trying to stream that a little bit, and so we're better stewards of that money that you're giving us. And our design team works hand in hand with that DMP staff, and Connie and Fred have planted, I think, thousands of tulips in Volleyball Park. But that's really been a focus of ours over the last couple of years. Right now on our radar is the fountain, and we've been talking with Jean about raising money so we can really rehabilitate that fountain and make it a really more dynamic like it used to be. Also, the design team does the Hometown Hero banners, and they're going to be going up on Thursday. And they also are the group that did the upstairs downtown tour. We had 9 historic spaces on that. They also reached out to the Farney Foundation and got 2 grants. The first one was for Volleyball Park, and that was $8,000. That did some of those. It's hard to see from this far away, but there's some really great bushes around all of the flagstone walkways now, and some other flowers, plus the 2 interpretive panels about Volleyball Park and its history. And then at the end of 2024, we received another grant from them. It was $7,400, and that was for the Canteen Alley interpretive panels detailing historic people in our community. So we're really glad to have those up, and then some uplighting for the depot. And here are the local results. I'm not going to read all of those because you can, but I want to really touch on that $38,172,187 in private investment in the downtown. That does not include about $15 million of grant funding and other funding that came in to match that. And 51,000 volunteer hours translates to almost $1.8 million in time and talent spent in downtown. And I think that's almost the most important figure on this, because local residents are showing that they love and care about the downtown and want to see it revitalized. So that's right up our alley. And here's the business update. The last 2 businesses that came into the district were Empire Cards. That's across from our office. And then also the Galley on Main at East Main is 307, and that's an event space. And that picture's down on the bottom. So next slide. These are the 3 businesses that are coming in. 2320 Fitness is a graduate of the Business Builder Academy. And so we're very happy to see them coming into the downtown, which was their goal all along. Chinky X, the bar, will be opening pretty soon. And then we have a business going into 101 South Court, and she's keeping it a surprise until they put the business name on the front of the building. And then we have 10 projects in the pipeline, 6 buildings, and 4 businesses. And this slide is all about the Business Builder Academy. It's a month-long program. We have $15,000 that funds this program. $5,000 goes to the pitch contest that is divided between the 3 winners, the top pitches, and then $5,000 from the Legacy Foundation that goes to an out-of-district grant. And that picture is showing the Livingston, Fred and Lindsay. So the Livingstons own Necessity Mercantile in Eldon. And so they are in the process of doing their 3rd payout through that $5,000. And that $5,000 goes toward utilities and rent. And then we have another in-district grant of $5,000 that was not asked for this year. So that's going to roll over. And the Bright Ideas grant from the Legacy Foundation, we got $7,000 to do these full window decals. And actually got a call today from Jefferson, Iowa. They want to replicate this, so we're going to be sending them how we did that project. Without the Legacy Foundation, that wouldn't have been possible. And so now really digging into what Main Street is about is economic development through preservation. And so this cost of an empty building is a handout that I updated for Main Street, Iowa. And I am going to read just a little paragraph to give this slide a little more content. So let's say a potential business tenant sells $250,000 of goods annually and pays a typical Main Street rent in the community. So in a building that's not occupied, the loss of income is $310,143. To me, that's huge. Losing income from a building at $310,000
Is that per year?
annually, yes. That is actually, so in the next slide that we'll look at in a minute, I updated those numbers for Ottumwa also. But as we look down, I think the one that really captures my attention the most is the loss of workers, of what kind of income people can be utilizing if that building is programmed, what we're missing out on and what our community is missing out on. So there's several tools to help the city and help Main Street fill these empty buildings and transition them from owners that are not taking care of them. Maybe they don't have the funds, maybe they're out of state and their focus is elsewhere. So there are two grants that we can get. So the Main Street Challenge Grant is a grant only for Main Street communities. It's $25,000 to $100,000, a dollar-to-dollar match for a privately owned building. So it has to be a building in the Main Street District, and the owner has to have ownership of it by January 1 of any of the grant years. So we have 2 or 3 buildings that actually want to participate in this year. So we're going to do a local review of those buildings. And then Main Street Iowa staff, the design staff were here last week. So then they've given us their opinions of which projects would go through that process the most. And the next, go back. I'll use this hand to talk with. So then the Community Catalyst program is actually a building remediation program, and it's for cities. It's for buildings that cities own that have poor structure. It could be a collapsed roof. It could be the sides are falling in. It could be the basement's full of water. Any of those types of things. And I have talked to state staff, and Ottumwa is in a perfect position to reach out for an emergency catalyst grant on a building that the city owns. It is a $100,000 grant. It's a sliding scale match, and the city would have to contribute something toward that building at some point. So I hope that we can have a conversation about that in the next few weeks or months to save some of those buildings, because it's not just the building we're saving, it's actually a half block. Because if you take a building out of the middle of a block, right, that those remaining walls were never meant to be touched by the elements. So you're either going to have to shore up those walls, or those other 2 buildings are going to collapse. So you're looking at least a $200,000 deconstruction for a building that was not maintained by an owner, and unfortunately the city had to take it on. So this is the fun slide. If I don't hit the microphone with my glass. So this is actually talking about the income that comes into a community as a whole for one upper story housing unit. And this one was slated for the downtown rents, $800 to $1,300 a month. So you can see at the very bottom that the people that are in that one unit are spending between $24,000 and $52,000 annually in the area, in Ottumwa. So we're looking at this booms tracker. This is our data from Main Street America. Fred actually uploaded the data for all the buildings first in the nation. Go Fred, right? And so if we look down at the bottom, so when we figure out 119 housing units in the downtown at that 25,000 to 52,000 rate, get your calculator out, right? Or if you look at the potential housing that has not been created, whether it's upper story housing or full building vacancies, that's another 142 properties that we could be getting income from. So it really does make a difference in the downtown to have those upper stories filled. So hopefully we can get more of those buildings either transitioned or talk to those property owners to get apartments in them. The cool thing about this slide is Main Street America takes data like this from all Main Street communities across the nation. And then they take this data to the Senate and the House at a national level to explain how important it is to support small rural downtown communities. So that slide, even though it looks pretty simple, has a lot of grit on it. So I think I'm done. There I am. So if you have any questions, my contact information is on the slide. I really thank you for this time. And I appreciate all of the support, whether it's staff support and all the phone calls I give some of you or the council support. So thank you.
Does council have any questions for Chris?
Yes, I do. Is there any accommodation for helping to get rid of snow on the sidewalks in the wintertime?
It's funny you should ask, because our SMID group has talked about that several times. We are exploring to see if there's a way that we can hire a company that would just do that, and we take that out of SMID funds. Because we want to make sure whatever we do with SMID funds is equal for all of those property owners that have put the money back into that. So yeah, very good question. Thank
Thank
you.
Any other questions from council?
You brought a wealth of information with you to Ottumwa, so we're very happy you're here.
Well, thank you so much, and thanks for the water.
All right. So I guess following that, not as exciting, I have, at the last meeting, GoPip was here and had talked about some of the efforts with the Quincy Place Mall. And that Retail Strategies was beginning conversations again with the mall owner about some potential placement of businesses there. Back in November of last year, we had sent a letter to them about taking down the Herberter sign and making sure that the roof was weather tight and watertight. Unfortunately, I cannot find any documentation following up on that letter. It was giving 30 days to make those repairs. And so absent of any further communication with them, it was advice of council to essentially start the process over, send out a new letter with giving the 30 days. And if they are not compliant with that, then we would be able to look at the civil violations for not repairing or taking care of those things as cited in the previous letter. I don't know if they've received a letter. I don't know anything. Unfortunately, was not able to find any record of communication with them other than the letter that appears to have been sent.
What would those financial penalties be?
So if they do not comply with that, we would be able to issue a citation. For the sign, it looks like it'd be $500 for the first offense, $750 for any subsequent offenses. And for the roof, it'd be $750 for a first offense and $1,000 for any repeat offenses. And it looks like it could take 90 to 120 days to resolve the issues of if we cite them and they fight it, going through trial could take 3 to 4 months.
It seems really unfortunate that the mall owner doesn't seem to be very enthused or committed to making any improvements on the building, especially if he wants to get businesses in it.
So we'll continue communication, and hopefully between the carrot and stick approach, we'll have some remedy of making that site more attractive and get more businesses in there. So that, like I said, unfortunately not much of an update, but that is where things are at currently. And so we'll get a by the end of the week, and I'll keep the council apprised of future progress there.
So Phil, at what point, like, so if they get a first offense and then a second offense, like how many do they get before like the next process starts or the next option? Or what's the next thing?
Well, I think, are you on, Logan?
Yeah, I'm here, Phil.
Yeah, that might be more of a question for you on how many offenses before, and I don't know what that next action would be.
Yeah, it sort of goes on infinitely, but there may be some legal tools to ask the court for, special relief or specific relief. It primarily would be allowing the city to go in and address any issues and assess the cost back to the property. That's, the most common form of special relief that we ask for in those types of actions.
If the property owner doesn't do those things, is it like private city property where the city council could move forward with condemnation proceedings or not?
But I would have to look at that. Off the top of my head, I don't think there's a reason that condemnation would not apply. But I can follow up with Phil on that. But condemnation is, ultimately results in demolition most commonly, and it sounds like, and demolition of the mall at the city's expense would be likely a very expensive undertaking.
And the property owner would still retain rights to the property, so it wouldn't resolve that issue.
So that's our recourse for, I mean, that's getting to be an eyesore. And, you know, I'm gonna speak for myself, not for the whole council, but
Talk in your microphone, please.
I don't know. I have a hard time letting our citizens see that. Our town and our citizens deserve better. And no offense, it just seems like the law is set up for the guy who's not taking care of things. We're trying to do the right thing. I mean, obviously, he can make a profit in there. I mean, I understand, but I can't allow a building to just collapse and look that way in a tunnel. Our citizens deserve better, like I said.
So Logan, would condemnation for a commercial building be different than a private residence? Because under a private residence, if the city council condemns a property, then they assess the cost of the demolition and asbestos abatement to the property owner, and then the city can take title to the property. Does that not work the same way for a commercial property?
So there's two different processes. One where the city is taking title to those residents, those placarded residents. That's through a specific code chapter called 657A. And it's an abandoned building, and the city's taking title to it, and then hoping to abate whatever the nuisance is, or on its own dime, or resell it for redevelopment. And then separate from that would be the condemnation process, where the building is too far gone and it would need to be demolished. On that path, title would stay with the original owner, but the city could undertake the demolition. So if the mall is abandoned, and I'm not up to speed on all the specifics of the condition of the building, but if the mall is abandoned, I believe 657A is not restricted to residential properties and could be used for commercial properties if the city wanted to take title to it.
Yeah, it's not totally empty. There's a few businesses in there, but it's probably 3/4 empty.
But even with the tenants that are in there now, I mean, I'm not making I mean, I worry about what's wrong with it now. I mean, are they safe in there now? I mean, I'm not saying they're not, but I'm saying I don't know. With the condition of the building we talk about, are they okay now?
Your Honor, could I make a comment on that? The Republican Party had an office there last year in the building. And rumors going around was that there were two businesses that wanted to split the Herberger's building and each rent half of it. And that didn't happen because the owner of the building couldn't or didn't fix the roof. So it was continually leaking. And I also know that there's a similar problem with the other J.C. Penney portion of that building. And I don't know if there's anybody who wants to rent it, but I can tell you it has leaks in it. And I think for us to go in there and take possession or take control of the building is an unrealistic possibility, because there's a lot of money involved there. And this gentleman that owns this mall has about, I'm gonna say, it may not be right, but about 30 other malls that are of similar condition throughout his ownership. So when we get in there and wanna threaten him, we better have a big hammer when we go after him.
I don't think it's wrong to ask him to fix it, though.
No.
I mean, I think it's our,
Not wrong, the question is whether that will do any good.
I think you're both agreeing. Of course, it's not wrong to ask him to fix it. He's just gonna refuse. I mean, he hasn't. I mean, we have a business in Ottumwa, we have a business owner with problems in the business and he's refusing to communicate with the city. There's something very wrong with that. I know we can't force anybody to talk, but
There was one other thing that was interesting to me. They were talking about moving all of the buildings that are rented or all of renters up to the front part of the mall, meaning towards the street, and then give them open access from outside to the inside, which would allow them to have different hours for operation as opposed to what's in the mall right now. And I don't know that anything has ever been done about it, but I know that was in conversation, that they would move everything. Say if somebody had merchandise storage, they could move it to a room in the back of the mall and move their business to the front part where they could have access to the outdoors, indoors and outdoors. And that makes sense to me. I have no idea what it would cost to do that, but at least they were thinking about making some of that movement.
yeah, but they went ahead and restricted the hours without that plan. So the hours kind of tightened up, you know what I mean?
There was conversation on that a number of years ago. The mall owner had presented that as an option, but wanted the city to pay for the cost of the remodel to make that happen.
so it sounds like, Phil, what you're saying is our next steps are reissuing a letter. And then 30 days, we'll follow up with that. Depending on what's been done, there may be some, effect, like, tickets written, or maybe, we'll have some repairs done.
That would be the next steps.
And you'll report back to us on how that's going.
Exactly.
Perfect, thank you.
All right.
And in the meantime, GoPip is continuing to work with retail strategies to increase, conversations.
All right, moving on to legislative update, there were a few things, the most noteworthy, I would say, is that, House Senate Bill 328, Senate File 651, property taxes and overhaul. Neither the House nor the Senate advanced a property tax reform bill this session. So they can take them up again next session, but at the moment, there was nothing that has passed either side regarding property tax system overhaul. Senate File 303, Consumer Firework Regulations. This was approved and moved to the governor for signature. This prohibits local governments from restricting consumer fireworks on July 3rd, July 4th, and December 31st. So it increases by those couple days. Local ordinance revisions will follow if necessary, which I believe they will be for us. That law is effective July 1 of this year, so.
And I'm pretty sure she signed on Monday, they'll get that.
Senate File 659, Emergency Communication Services. This was also moved to the governor, I believe, no, it's not signed yet, I don't believe. This is Division 12, grants the Iowa 911 program the authority to charge local 911 service boards for undefined reasonable costs associated with delivering 911 traffic to public safety answering points, or PSAPs. So that could mean dollars removed from the local 911 services that they currently receive that would get moved to the state. House File 706, increased penalties for open meetings and open records. We've talked about this one a little bit before. This was passed. That would increase the range of damages for violation of the open meetings law from $500 to $2,500 for violations, and from $5,000 to $12,500 for knowing violations. It requires a court to order the removal of a member of a board for open meeting violations, regardless of whether the damages are assessed. Requires the members of a government body to take training in open meetings and open records laws within 90 days of assuming responsibilities. requires IPIB to develop such training, and makes a member subject to damages for not completing the training. Let's see, the amendment was added to the Senate floor, making security footage and employee access logs confidential if they're from legislative controlled camera systems or state-owned or leased facilities. And the final one, House File 793, the prohibition of firefighter certification for sex offenders. That requires the Department of Public Safety to adopt rules prohibiting anyone from serving as a volunteer, non-certified, or professional firefighter who has been listed on the sex offender registry. That also applies to persons who work at fire stations. There obviously were many more bills that were passed. These are the ones that would have or could have some direct impact on the city. And I'm sure there'll be more updates when the league puts out their year in review for the legislative session. All right. And then one thing that's not on the agenda, but I wanted to update, and I'm going to turn it over to Travis, is the city website was, I guess we'll say, launched or relaunched last Tuesday with a soft launch, just to kind of get a feel for it, see if there's any things that needed to be revised. And we're going to be making the official statement here tonight and then with a release tomorrow. I think Travis can highlight a couple things if it works for some new updates and features of the website.
Hello, you guys are having a good evening. So we're starting here at Google and we're gonna go to ottumwa.us.
Nice to meet
We now have a video up there. If you're on the mobile version, some pictures will be a slide by. You'll notice these items on the right here, these are tiles. So they will go to different sections of the home page. This page has 8 options here, including your agendas and minutes.
Thank you.
And then we can go down and see what news articles are out. Look at a calendar for various events as well. Check out some of our community partners, including Main Street Ottumwa, who gave a presentation earlier tonight. Some contact information for us. We also have boards and commissions making a much larger appearance on the new city website. They all have their own pages. When they provide them to me, they will all have agendas up, and you will know who they are because they will also have pictures available. And if any projects they do, we can add in the pictures of that. But their presence will be known in the community more than it currently is. We also have some new features, including being able to rent park shelters online. So they're all listed out here, and if we wanted to rent one out, let's go ahead and choose the Ottumwa Park Octagon, because I don't think anyone's going to rent that for tomorrow. We can learn more about it by reading more. We can choose to rent it. We choose our date. Since you can rent items for more than one day, you have to do a double click, because if we wanted to do this time frame here, the second click would be till the 31st there. We would confirm our selection. We fill out our form. Once this is submitted, it will automatically take you to the online payment portal. So in the morning, they'll be able to check to see if it was paid for or not. Once this is submitted, it'll also send an email to Samantha, our person down in the Parks Department. She's done an amazing job, by the way, learning this new form system. She put in all of the previous reservations into the new system, so she might be the most familiar with it, because she had to take all the old paper forms and put them into the new system. A big item that was discussed when this was proposed to the city was accessibility, and this new website covers that. The big thing to notice up top here is it's got its dedicated translate button with the top 3 languages spoken in Ottumwa: Spanish, Marshallese, and English. This is determined by the Ottumwa School District sending us an item saying what percentage of people speak each language. But we got plenty more to choose from. Also, a lot of the forms are now in the digital online version, which means the page will translate that form and they can understand it in their native language and submit it to us so we can receive it. In addition to that, we have accessibility tools now. So if you are vision impaired, you can come in here and start messing around with items like dyslexic friendly. It'll change your fonts a little bit to make it a little easier on you. Same with cursor here. You can change that around so you can read it a little easier. There are all sorts of tools on the site there. And for reporting concerns, we have a brand new system for that. This page explains that it's a new system. If it's a 911 emergency, to call 911 because it's not monitored 24 hours a day. It also has a link to reporting a street light out to Alliant Energy because most street lights in Ottumwa are owned and maintained by Alliant Energy.
Could I stop you for a second?
Yes,
I think if you're gonna report a street light out, you have to give them the number.
you do.
All street lights are numbered, and just tell them there's a light out on Church Street, wouldn't cut it.
If they cannot find it during the day, they will mark it as complete and move on. So if you do report one, make sure you have the exact location of it, including the number on the pole. Our new report of concern system, the technical name on it is the Public Service Request System. There are currently 3 items on here. Once a reported item comes in, when we acknowledge it, it will actually show up as one of these markers on here. This one that's marked as other, when they put in the address, they did not put Ottumwa. So for some reason, it thinks it's in Memphis. But fortunately, there was enough description that we know we're set in town.
I did not file that.
Say again?
I said Memphis last weekend. I said I did not file that.
So if we want to report an issue, we'll just go to the top and choose report an issue. Right now, we still have an option to continue as a guest or sign in. We'll just continue as a guest. We have our marker here. We can move that anywhere where the problem is located at. Let's say by chance there's a pothole right here.
Can't change
a problem.
So
By
on
chance.
the phone, will like it use GPS?
Yes. You have to give it permission to access your location, but it will. We will choose pothole. And then that will determine a question that pops up here. Most of them are very generic. So this just says, describe the problem. Pothole on top of building. Since we have an address there, they'll know exactly where it's at. If we have pictures, we can actually upload them now. So we can see exactly what they're seeing by the picture they send in. If you're doing this on your mobile device, you can use your camera right then and there to send that in. So we'll report it, and right now, Public Works just got an email saying somebody has reported an issue because these issues will go directly to the department they need to go to. I've already given them a warning that they'll get one tonight, so I will get their delete this in the morning. But once that is acknowledged on the back end, one of these markers would actually show up here. So any other citizen wanting to report this will see that it has been reported, and they can either create an account and choose the fix it button, which effectively is like a like button that you would see on social media. It's just letting us know somebody else agrees with that and they can join in on the thought that it needs fixed. Or they can put in their own. It's a very user-friendly system. And just follow the instructions of what shows up. Does anybody have any questions about our new City of Ottumwa website?
If I get any complaints either through telephone calls or emails from citizens like I normally do, am I gonna need to go into that system and put all that information in there?
No, it would not be necessary. Just think of that as the new report of concern system.
For as citizens.
You didn't have to do it in the previous website, you won't have to do it on this one.
So they may use this site instead of emailing you or calling you. So it may reduce some of your.
Yeah.
For the more undefinable concerns to report, I have that in there as another with the note saying if it doesn't fall under any of those categories to use other. Others come to me and I send them to where they need to go.
Cause I basically do the same thing the system's gonna do. I always refer the appropriate complaint to the appropriate department head.
Right. So with the new system, it should in theory go, most of them go directly to the department that it needs to go to. And that's all set up when you put in the questions and who to direct those to.
If you're wanting to rent a shelter, the required payment, can that be credit card or check?
There is actually e-check in the new system. Cole would probably know more about it, how that works online. That's, Sydney has done a great job working with the new credit card company and making sure the online website has the options needed for what's being offered on our page.
What will happen is it'll come in as an ACH. You do an online check, but it's actually an ACH payment out of their account into our account.
Okay,
So checks are a possibility, just an e-check.
and that still requires a basic deposit, and that deposit will come back, assuming that they've met the requirements for keeping it clean and that kind of stuff.
Yes. Yeah, once everything's checked out, the park department sends over, information. And if you look at the bill list for, tonight, there's a couple on there where there's a refund, where they've, where they're getting their deposit back.
Okay, thank you.
But we send it out as a physical check.
And on the shelters, I assume reserving those is first come, first serve. If somebody reserves a date and pays their money, there's no way anybody else can come in and override that and kick them off of there.
Correct. So once the form has been submitted, that date is locked out until it is either past that or it is deleted on the back end. So it is first come, first served. If somebody does not pay a shelter, somebody else comes in with the money, it's possible to go in, delete the other reservation and let the other person take it for that day.
And you rent by the day, not half day or anything like that, right?
There is one spot, the Central Park, where we have it set up for an hourly system because we know sometimes during the day there's an event and they're done and then there's like the orchestra or something that night that will be there. That way we can have multiple events signed up for the same day, but all the other locations are by the day.
Define that area again.
Central Park.
Central Park, okay. That's Jimmy Jones Shelter or something?
No, that'd be a greater Temple Park.
By the
Central Park's right
library.
by City Hall.
City Hall, okay.
It's next door to the city
Thank
hall. Between the library and city hall.
Are FOIA requests on there?
There's not an online version yet though.
Okay, but that will be coming, right?
We can get it going as soon as you want.
Okay.
But if you go to your page, it's right there at the bottom on the left. We do also have curated searches. Once I get more website data, I can put those in and make it easier for people to find. For instance, earlier today, I realized I didn't have anything in there for agendas. So if I put in agenda, it will pop up as go into the correct City of Ottumwa page. If you're just curious about it in general, you can find out search engine options from these other tabs. And speaking of search engines, our old website data is still in all of the major search engine cache or their online data.
Doesn't work.
It takes time for that to get out of the system. We have no control over that. Revise has no control over that. It's just gonna be one of those things that we have to wait for it to go out of their system and then only the new website items will populate.
Do you have any idea how long we're talking in
Yeah.
general?
They said a couple weeks, I would say 2-3 weeks. Since we've already gone past 1 week, so probably another 1 or 2 weeks.
Good job, Travis.
Job, Travis.
You know, I'd like to add just one more comment. I was with Travis when he, you know, the way for growth and the way to improve is when you want to improve, you attack little things at a time, little positive things at a time. And he did that. He had a vision for this website early on and he pushed hard for it. He knew exactly what he wanted. He had a vision. And now we're to the end of that vision. And Travis, I think we did an excellent job. It looks outstanding. You brought us up to date. You made it easy. Instead of just a static website that you look at, you kind of made a place where you can stick around a little bit and see some different things. So I appreciate all your hard work and what you put into this.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
I know Revise is pretty impressed with what we've done when we went through the admin training. I've done most of the updates before the first official session. But I know they are very happy with what we've done with the bookable system. Their program head for that looked at our park reservation system I put together, and they hadn't seen a better town use it, so. I want the tools, I got them, and we'll be able to use them and make a very solid web presence.
This website really helps us put our best foot forward when people go to look at it.
Good job.
Any more questions?
Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you, Travis.
All right, well, we'll end on a high note then. That's all I have for tonight.
Okay, thank you, Phil. The next item is to identify citizens desiring to comment on any of our agenda items. We do have one person that wants to speak at one of our public hearings. Is there anybody else that wants to turn in a slip of paper to speak on any agenda items? Okay, we'll call that person up when we get to that point on our agenda. We have 2 public hearings, so we'll start with the first one.
This is the time, place, and date set for a public hearing on the proposed amendment number 1 to the City of Ottumwa fiscal year 2025 budget.
I'll go ahead and open the public hearing, and I believe our finance director, Paul O'Donnell, is gonna handle this.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Amendment number 1 is necessary to formalize the re-estimated revenues and expenditures in the fiscal year 26 budget. Revenue for fiscal year 25 increased by $1,545,959 in total. Projected increases in charges for services of $2,211,132. Though staff believes that this is due to better designation of the revenue sources in the budget documents. Other city finance sources increased by $873,691 due mainly to loan proceeds for the landfill compactors. Total expenditures are estimated to decrease by $6,111,591. Part of the decrease is due to splitting proprietary expenses for debt service and capital projects out of operation expenses and accounting for them in the correct program areas. Reductions in other program areas are a result of unspent wages and salary for open positions and incomplete capital projects. The remainder of these projects have been budgeted for in fiscal year 26.
Does the council have any questions for Cole?
So that 6 million decrease in the expenditures is big. Could you explain better that second sentence of that paragraph, though? Kind of unpack that. Part of the decrease is due to, I didn't, not really following that.
Okay, so what it is if we have open positions, then we don't have the salary and
Yeah, I
benefits
understand
expense.
that part.
Right.
Okay.
And then what it is we plan for capital projects and they don't always get completed within the fiscal year, even though we'd like them to. So so for instance, some of the street projects or sewer projects, we expected to get more done, but because of weather or other delays or something like that, we're not going to get as much done. So now what it is during the budget process, we looked at it and said, you're going to get 70% of it done, so another 30% is going to be budgeted in fiscal year 26.
You can also have situations where you plan for a project, but when you go out for bids, they're not acceptable. And so you reject the bids and look to rebid it in a future year or a future time frame. That might kick it into another year.
But these were already budgeted, like the remainders were already budgeted for 26, correct?
Correct.
Yes,
Yeah.
we're not having, you're not gonna come back to us like in 2 weeks and say, hey, these were, that 30% we were talking about, here it is.
No,
Just-
we, during the budget process, we sat with department heads, and those responsible for capital projects, and we specifically said, what do you think you're gonna get done in this fiscal year? And they were very diligent and were able to say, well, we're starting at this time, so we estimate that. We do put a little bit of a fudge factor in there so that, if they think that they're gonna get 70% done, maybe we say they're only gonna get 65% done, right? So that or that they're gonna, get 75% done. So we have a little bit of a fudge factor there so that if they do get the 75% done instead of the 70%,
We can pay for it.
it's still within the budget year.
Perfect, thanks for that clarification.
Any other questions from council for Cole? Okay, since this is a public hearing, we do have one individual that would like to come up and speak. So Ben, would you like to come up and give your full name and your address, please?
Yeah, my name is Ben Foote. My address is 303 East Main Street. The apartment number 201. So really, I had some questions. I think it may have just gotten answered, so I just wanted to do some clarification. I know, first seeing Main Street website, well, this seems kind of boring, so I'm just gonna kind of go through this. So yeah, my big question was just wondering how splitting the priority expenses for debt service and capital projects, how that takes it out of expenses. So my understanding is it's not taking out of expenses, it's taking out of 1 year and putting it into the next. Is that right?
Actually, it's not taking it out of 1 year and putting it in the next. It's just that, some of the proprietary expenses, have debt service included in them.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're required to split those out. So by splitting those out and the way the accounting works with the state and everything else, it shows it as a deduction in expenses, but we're putting it in a different place is what we're doing. Like, but when we put it all into the spreadsheet for the state that was included,
Right.
that's what it comes up with. It comes up that there's a reduction of the expenditures.
I'm just wondering if it could be more clear if it was separated right out of the gate instead
And
of
that's
through
what-
the amendment.
And that's what we're doing for next year.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Good.
I'm working with what is, the budgeting was done before I got here,
Okay,
so.
okay. I think that covers my questions. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Is there anybody else that would like to speak on this particular item, since it's a public hearing? If not, I'd entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion closed.
Second,
Chris will take the roll.
Councilmember Hoffman,
Yes.
Councilmember McIntyre,
Yes.
Councilmember Cavanagh,
Yes.
Councilmember Reed,
Yes.
Councilmember Galloway.
yes,
Resolution number 85, 2025, approving amendment number 1 to the City of Ottumwa fiscal year 2025 budget. Recommendation pass and adopt resolution number 85, 2025.
Is there a motion to approve the recommendation?
Anyone want, yeah. I'll move the recommendation.
Anyone want to open? Chris will take the roll.
Councilmember Hoffman,
Yes.
Councilmember McIntyre,
Yes.
Councilmember Cavanagh,
Yes.
Councilmember Reed,
Yes.
Councilmember Galloway.
yes.
This is the time, place, and date set for a public hearing on the proposal to convey interest in real property to the Ottumwa Community School District.
Okay, I'll go ahead and open the public hearing. I believe our Public Works Director, Philip Bergmeyer, is gonna handle this.
Thank you, Mayor. So in order to construct and maintain parts of the Lake Branch sewer system, we're requiring a lot of easements. This agreement is between the city of Ottumwa and the Ottumwa Community School District, and will convey certain city-owned lots and city-owned right-of-way to the school in exchange for easements for new sanitary and storm sewers over school-owned property. Neither party is going to pay any monetary consideration on this. It's a simple exchange. The Ottumwa Community School District has already agreed to the terms and signed the agreement. This resolution will authorize the mayor to sign this exchange agreement on behalf of the city of Ottumwa.
Council have any questions?
I got
Oh,
a few
you got it.
slides here, kind of show you what properties we
Okay.
exchanged. You go to the next one. So this is an overview of the area. Those are the new tennis courts. The area outlined in magenta there is the area we're conveying to the school district. There's a triangular lot on the top left that is not used for anything. There's an alley or something, I don't know what legally it was described weird, but the piece of property that is functionally an alley. There's an east-west alley right now that has a sewer in it that's abandoned. We're gonna give that to the school, and then that piece on the right-hand side, you go up north, that was partially an alley, and somewhere along the line, the city got like 8 feet of that property lot too. And that was all gonna be transferred to the school. And the next slide, these are the original easements, so that's supposed to be blue, but it's kind of like a teal color, I guess. Those are temporary, temporary easements through that same property, just to orient yourself, I guess. Center Street is on the north, and then Hackberry's in the south. Somehow the wording got upside down, but so Center Street's to the north, Hackberry to the south. The big white area in the middle is where the tennis courts are now. Anything in kind of the yellowish tan color are the city-owned right away. So you kind of see part of, I didn't get the triangular part on it, so I wasn't part of that drawing, but the red is permanent easements, and the I said the teal color is temporary easements that we're getting from the school. There's one more, you go back once. So on the right-hand side, there's the green is storm sewer, by the way. So there's an easement for storm sewer there. The school built a restroom kind of on that alley right away in the middle. And the easiest way to get sanitary sewer to that was to Center Avenue. So we eliminated that sewer along Hackberry Street, and we're gonna tie there's 2 houses in the bottom right, 2 lots. We're gonna tie all those in to Center. So it kind of worked out good for us because we exchanged like 300 feet of sanitary sewer for 150 feet of sanitary sewer for building half as much sewer, and we're not having to tear up Hackberry Street. So it saved us like 25 grand. And those 2 easements aren't on here, but the next slide, you'll see the left, that lot 21, and then the little piece of the alley we're vacating to them as well. So that's the easement that wasn't on the previous picture, but it's that sanitary sewer we added back in. So, anyway, that's what we're exchanging.
Council have any questions for Philip?
Bill, have you ever considered getting a pointer so that you could actually point some of that stuff? The script's responding.
We'll work on it.
Yeah, so there's a laser.
Is it in your?
Oh, we got one? Is it working?
We'll start over and point at it.
I don't really show very well, does it?
Defining it by color doesn't help me at all, because I don't see color.
Oh,
So.
well.
Hey, color round.
Basically, the stuff on the outside's temporary, and the stuff in the middle was permanent. You're gonna go back one. How are you gonna see my laser beam if you can't see color?
Yeah.
Well, I hope it's a dot.
So right there, that and that right there, the temporary easements, and this red line in the middle is our new sanitary sewer, and the red shading on either side is the permanent easement. You guys gotta go back in there.
And I can definitely see that, thank you.
And then there's an easement on the right, and that easement on the next page is right in here. So that's where that one fell. It's kind of hard to tell because the tennis courts aren't there in the picture. It was surveyed before that, so.
I think the description is it's good enough for government work.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Philip? Since this is a public hearing, does anyone in the audience have any questions or current concerns or comments they'd like to make? If not, I go ahead and entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Move to close.
Second. Chris will take the roll.
Councilmember Hoffman,
Yes.
Councilmember McIntyre,
Yes.
Councilmember Cavanagh,
Yes.
Councilmember Reed,
Yes.
Councilmember Galloway.
Yes.
Resolution number 96, 2025, approving the real estate exchange agreement and authorizing the conveyance of certain real property to the Ottumwa Community School District. Recommendation pass and adopt resolution number 96, 2025.
Is there a motion to approve the recommendation?
Move the recommendation.
Second.
Chris will take the roll.
Councilmember Hoffman,
Yes.
Councilmember McIntyre,
Yes.
Councilmember Cavanagh.
Yes.
Councilmember Reed,
Yes.
Councilmember Galloway.
Yes.
Okay, we have no ordinances tonight, so we'll move on to departmental reports.
Police Department purchase of 6 Moto Shot bi-directional target turners for use at the firearms range. Recommendation: approve the purchase of 6 Moto Shot bi-directional target turners for use at the firearms range and the amount of $14,617.50 from Hale Outdoor Products LLC.
Mayor and council,
Motion
Is there
and
a
a
motion
second.
to approve the recommendation?
Motion to approve.
Second.
If we can't confuse you now, you're not.
Chris will take the roll.
No, it's all done. Yeah, you can talk about it.
okay, thank you for clarifying. The police department firearms range provides training to officers in timed proficiency in all firearms. The turning targets will allow training in threat identification, quick decision-making, and stress-inducing drills. Qualifications are a timed event where turning target standards are needed. The portable target turners from MotoShot can be used at different training locations when training with simunition, such as at the Rural Emergency Services Training Center and active shooter training at various locations in the city.
Do council have any questions for Lieutenant Bell?
Is that incorporated in a budget that already exists?
Yes.
Okay. And are those rotators, the images are replaceable or repaintable or whatever?
The turners are not in the target area or under the threat of being shot at. They are reinforced. They're just a device that turns target standards.
But there is a picture on the
Yes,
stand.
and it's interchangeable.
Okay,
But there is.
thank you.
Are these a new training device or are you replacing something you already have or is this a total upgrade on?
It's pretty much totally new.
Eliminates the cars. You don't have to shoot the cars anymore.
Hope not.
Well, it's a needed update too for the range out there. Even though it's a nicer range, it's been in need of an update for a long time.
Any other questions from council for Lieutenant Bell? If not, Chris will take the roll.
Councilmember Hoffman,
Yes.
Councilmember McIntyre,
Yes.
Councilmember Cavanagh.
Yes.
Councilmember Reed,
Yes.
Councilmember Galloway.
Yes.
Playground equipment bids for the Ottumwa Park Campground. Recommendation: approve game time option number 1 for new playground equipment for the Ottumwa Park Campground.
Is there a motion to approve the recommendation?
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, and our Parks Director, Gene Ratchey, is going to handle this item.
Thank you, Your Honor. Bids for new modern playground equipment were solicited from 4 vendors. Bids were received from Cunningham Recreation, which is Game Time, and Miracle. The playground equipment options were voted on by the park board and the general public at the meeting on May 13th. Game Time option number 1 received the most votes. The bid from Cunningham Recreation was $24,000. This project was funded by a $25,000 reimbursable grant from the Ottumwa Rag Committee, and the playground equipment will be installed by Parks employees before October 1st.
Does council have any questions for Gene regarding this project?
So the reason this is a budget amendment needed thing is because it's a reimbursable, we don't have the money, we gotta spend the money and then we get it back. So that reason it shows that way. What's the surface gonna be of, how much money are you guys gonna spend for your part of putting it up and getting the surface and site ready and all?
Well, we don't count the labor that the Parks employees put into it, so we'll need the extra $1,000, that'll be used for concrete and the footings, and then the fall material, which will be safety engineered wood fiber or wood chips.
You want to hold that photograph up so the public can see it?
And this will be put in Ottumwa Park over by the campgrounds. correct?
Thanks,
Yes, that's correct. Somewhere between Jimmy Jones and the old shower house.
And Jean, to confirm this is a grant, correct?
Yeah, this is 100% funded by a grant from the Ottumwa Rag Committee.
We cannot use this grant for anything else like streets, roads, or potholes.
That's
right.
Thank you. Wow.
What
You
is
need to
the,
understand that we get we're getting grants, and you're gonna see a lot of projects done that are done by grants. And it has been said over and over again, we cannot use the grants for other services, so I will continue to stress it until people understand that there are grants out there that are funding a lot of these really cool things that we are seeing in our community. Thank you.
good job, Karen.
Good
What,
job.
what is the base
Agreed.
underneath that, gonna be sand or?
Safety engineered wood fiber, which is basically ground up pallets.
Okay.
It's also known as wood chips, but it has to meet certain specifications by safety organizations working to be used underneath playground equipment.
And the city will install that.
Yes. We
Is that
are,
what those big piles of stuff on the parking lot are over there?
yeah, that's exactly what it is, but that all material's going under the kids' first playground since it's been relocated.
Any other questions for Jean from council? If not, Chris, take the roll.
Councilmember Hoffman,
Yes.
Councilmember McIntyre,
Yes.
Councilmember Cavanagh,
Yes.
Councilmember Reed,
Yes.
Councilmember Galloway.
Yes.
Thank you, Jean.
Authorization to send letter in support of continued funding for Amtrak service. Recommendation, grant authorization to the mayor to send a letter on behalf of the city council to support the continued federal financial support for Amtrak service.
Is there a motion to approve the recommendation?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Phil, are you gonna take this?
Either one, I guess I'll kick off and I'll turn it to you.
Okay.
So Mayor Johnson received notification, warning that federal spending for Amtrak could be in jeopardy. Without the continuation of that support, there is potential for discontinuation of long-distance train service, including the California Zephyr line, which is the one that runs through Ottumwa. Requested letter identified the risk and requests U.S. senators and local U.S. representatives from our area to consider the continued financial support.
So I went ahead and wrote a letter because I think it would be very devastating to Southeast Iowa if we no longer had Amtrak coming through Ottumwa, clear across the southern part of the state of Iowa. So there has been no money budgeted yet in President Trump's budget for Amtrak. It's hopeful that it'll be put in at some point, but as of right now, there's been nothing put in the new federal budget for October 1st to pay for Amtrak service anywhere in the country.
So the public understands, they're not asking us for money.
No, we're
They're
just
not
writing a
asking
letter of
us.
support.
Yeah, we're
asking
just-
Congress to go ahead and approve
Federal
continued
government.
funding of Amtrak. Is what the letter basically says. So does anybody have any questions for me or Phil? I think you guys have already been shared the letter.
I don't have any questions, but I appreciate the fact that you're going to write that letter on our behalf. And I think that anyone, excuse me, anyone that knows any of our representatives or senators should contact them to encourage them to try to get some money from the federal government to keep Amtrak running.
Any other comments or questions from council? If not, Chris will take the roll.
Councilmember Hoffman,
Yes.
Councilmember McIntyre,
Yes.
Councilmember Cavanagh,
Yes.
Councilmember Reed,
Yes.
Councilmember Galloway.
Yes.
Before we go on, I just want to mention one other thing. We're gonna also be asking council to allow me to write a letter to Congress about the funding of Job Corps centers across the country. There's 145 Job Corps programs across the United States. And here again, right now, President Trump's budget proposal for fiscal year 26, there is no money in there for any of the Job Corps programs across the United States. And 10 years ago, the Department of Labor paid $28 million to build a new Job Corps campus in Ottumwa. It's the newest campus that's been built in the country. And to see that thing close and that program totally close would be absolutely devastating for a number of different reasons, especially for the students that benefit from getting those programs. So that's going to be another letter that will be coming that we'll want the council to also approve in the near future. So the next item is resolutions.
Resolution number 83, 2025, approving a collective bargaining agreement with the Ottumwa Library Employees Union, Iowa Local 3659-2. Recommendation pass and adopt resolution number 83, 2025.
Is there a motion to approve the recommendation?
Motion to approve.
Second. Okay, and Barbara Kojo, our HR director, is gonna handle this.
Thank you, sir. So our contract with our library employees expires this June 30th of 24. So or 25, I'm sorry. So we negotiated the new contract, and that's what is in front of you right now. This has been ratified by the union themselves. And we've also taken this to the library board of trustees, and they have agreed to it as well. Major changes, there's not really too much that we have changed from the previous contract, other than the fact that all of the employees now are on our compensation handbook, which was agreed upon by the staff. I believe the average across all of them was like a 7 or 8% increase without our COLA increase on top of that. So many of them are seeing about a 9-10% minimum increase, and it's just getting them on the right pay scale. So that was the big change from the contract from last time, other than cleaning up some language.
The other question I had on the AFSCME contract, it gives the dates for a 5-year contract, but this says a 4-year contract, so I was kind of confused. Did they go from a 4-year to a 5-year, or is the dates wrong on the AFSCME contract?
I'd have to look at it. The dates might be wrong on that. I don't
Okay,
remember.
because I wasn't real clear. We went from 4 to 5, or the dates are wrong on the.
And that's
AFSCME
probably
contract.
something we've all missed as we
Okay.
looked at it. So I'll confirm that. And then I'll make sure to reach out to the union to change whichever one of it, make sure they're in agreement.
Yeah, because the
I
dates
just don't
on the
remember.
cover sheet looked like it's a 5-year contract.
I believe, and Phil, I don't know if you remember, I believe it was a 5-year contract because I think they were pretty happy with what we had. So I believe it's a 5-year contract, but I'll double check.
Okay.
Barb, how many employees do we have in the library?
Full-time equivalent, I believe we have 6, 7 full-time equivalent. We've got part-timers that are there. Total employees, I believe it's 10 or 11, not counting our director or our assistant director.
The part-time people are not considered part of the union?
They are.
They are?
Yes, the only ones that are at the library that are not considered part of the union is the library director and the assistant library director.
Okay, thank you.
Everyone else is covered.
Council, have any other questions for Barb regarding this item? If not, Chris will take the roll.
Councilmember Hoffman,
Yes.
Councilmember McIntyre,
Yes.
Councilmember Cavanagh,
Yes.
Councilmember Reed,
Yes.
Councilmember Galloway.
Yeah, thank you.
Resolution number 84, 2025, authorizing fiscal year 25 third quarter transfers as submitted by finance. Recommendation pass and adopt resolution number 84, 2025.
Is there a motion to approve the recommendation?
Move the recommendation.
Second.
Okay, Mr. O'Donnell, our finance director, has got the next 8 resolutions, so. go ahead.
I'm your entertainment for most of the rest of the night. So the resolution approves the quarterly budgeted fund transfer for March 31, 2025, and as required by the state of Iowa, it's done by resolution.
How often are transfers made? How often is it?
We do quarterly. Yeah. So some of the transfers that you see on there are every quarter. Some are at the halfway point, and some will be at the end of the year, depending upon what they are. So like the debt service transfers will be at the mid-year and at the end of the year, whereas transfers such as the operational support for the library and cemetery are done on a quarterly basis. Support for costs or benefits is done on a quarterly basis, in order to keep those different funds that we have obligations for in a positive balance. Yes.
Any other questions from council for Cole on this item? If not, Chris will take the roll.
Councilmember Hoffman,
Yes.
Councilmember McIntyre,
Yes.
Councilmember Cavanagh,
Yes.
Councilmember Reed,
Yes.
Councilmember Galloway.
Yes.
Resolution number 86, 2025, approving and authorizing a mortgage release for 410 North Ash Street. Recommendation pass and adopt resolution number 86, 2025.
Is there a motion to approve the recommendation?
Motion to approve.
Second.
In January of 1999, Carla and Jackie Harlan entered into a mortgage and promissory note with the city. The loan was for housing rehabilitation in the amount of $18,672, with an amendment for an additional $500 for a total of $19,172. The note had 0 payments and no interest and forgivable after 60 months, provided the Harlans owned and lived in the home for the full 60 months. The conditions of the note have been met, have been more than met, and the Harlans are requesting release of the mortgage.
This is something that the city no longer does, correct?
Well, I'm assuming it was part of the CDBG rehabilitation grant. As far as I know, we're not currently within one of those grants. It's something that we could be looked at. You're correct. Currently, we do not have a CDBG project, running.
But are there more of these loans out there?
Quite possibly. One of the things that, our accounting specialist for accounts receivable is doing is she is going through some of these and trying to catch them and clear them off. Part of it is she's going through and seeing more ones where we do have mortgage where they make payments if they're current and up to date. So she's catching some of these as well.
Regardless, they fulfilled their obligation.
Oh, yeah, they feel, yeah.
Okay.
They had to do it, they had to live there for 5 years, and we're now, and starting 29, so they was 24 would have been the last year. We're 21 years beyond that, so yeah.
So motion to approve.
But for the other ones, if for whatever reason they defaulted and they didn't pay, would the city be liable then to pay that off?
So, what it is if these are under a CDBG, right, they're forgivable, but you live there for the full 5 years. If at year 3, you move or you're no longer living in the house, then the remainder of the payment, so if they move out at year 3 and it's a $25,000 grant, you take 2/5 of that, and that's what they have to pay back.
Okay. Do you think we have many of these on the books?
I'm not sure. We'll have to look.
Okay.
This is one that definitely fell through the cracks.
Council have any other questions for Cole on this item?
Are they still living there?
I believe that the reason why they're asking for this is that they are looking to sell the property.
Okay.
Probably came up through a title search.
Yeah.
Because this goes back to January 1999, right?
Correct.
Okay, if there's no other questions from council, Chris will take the roll.
Councilmember Hoffman,
Yes.
Councilmember McIntyre,
Yes.
Councilmember Cavanagh,
Yes.
Councilmember Reed,
Yes.
Councilmember Galloway.
Yes.
Resolution number 87, 2025, establishing fees for building permits in the city of Ottumwa, Iowa, and rescinding resolution number 105, 2019, effective July 1, 2025. Recommendation pass and adopt resolution number 87, 2025.
Is there a motion to approve the recommendation?
Second.
Okay, Mr. O'Donnell.
Building permit fees are calculated by determining the estimated valuation of the project using the building valuation data from the International Code Council. The figure is then used to determine the fee amount using the fee table. The ICC data is updated twice a year in February and August. Currently, we are using the August 2011 data. The resolution updates this to February 2018. The last adjustment in fees was 2019. This month was selected in order to partially meet the recommended increase in fees. The fee structure is also increased to meet the recommendation. The table is graduated based upon the estimated valuation. The first 6 tiers of valuations from 500 to 5,000 are increased $3 for the first tier and $5 for each tier thereafter. Moderate increases are proposed for the remaining steps. Staff has attempted to weigh the need for the increases against the need for development. The increases reflect changes in the valuation of buildings that we have seen over the last 4 to 5 years, coupled with a moderate increase in fees.
Does council have any questions for Cole on this item?
So using the February 2018 data is an effort to keep the fees lower than they could be if we were using more current data.
Correct. So what it is there was a recommended increase of 30%, in building fees. If we could use just the valuation table in order to get there, but the problem is that depending on the month and the year, this one got us almost to that 30%. If we use the next one that came out, then what it is we would have been over that 30%. So what we did, we went back and we said, okay, we used the valuation to increase it to this point, and then we did a moderate increase in the actual permit fees based upon the valuation that's calculated to get us to that 30% recommended increase.
Any other questions from council for Cole? Not, Chris will take the roll.
Councilmember Hoffman,
Yes.
Councilmember McIntyre,
Yes.
Councilmember Cavanagh,
Yes.
Councilmember Reed,
Yes.
Councilmember Galloway.
Yes.
Resolution number 88, 2025, establishing fees for rental housing permits and inspections in the city of Ottumwa, Iowa, and rescinding resolution number 86, 2019, effective July 1, 2025. Recommendation pass and adopt resolution number 88, 2025.
Is there a motion to approve the recommendation?
Motion to move the recommendation.
Second. Okay, Cole.
As part of the review of inspection and permit fees for the fiscal year 26 budget, staff discovered that rental permits and inspection fees set by resolution 86, 2018 were to increase annually by the previous 12 months CPI for all items. That did not occur. Staff calculated what the annual increase would have been for the last 5 years. The result is a $10 increase on all permits and inspection fees. The revised fees will be implemented July 1, 2025, and modified each July 1st by the CIP thereafter.
You have an estimate on what that would be?
The CIP has generally been about 2.5%. I think that inflation right now is running right around there. So what it is the fees are set for July 1 of this year. So when we look at fiscal year 27, we'll look to see what the CIP increase would be. And again, the 10-year average tends to be about 2.5%. So I'm assuming somewhere between that 2% and 3%.
Okay, thank you.
So what plans being put in place to make sure that this stuff's getting reviewed on a regular basis so this kind of thing doesn't happen in the future?
So as we go forward with our budgeting processes, one of the things that'll be in the instructions to department heads is to review their fees to see if there's any automatic increases and make sure that those are calculated, but then to also review all other fees to make sure that they're being updated on a regular basis to more accurately reflect the costs that are being incurred.
Any other questions from council?
Do you have any idea on how our fees for this, that we're talking about here, the rental housing permits and inspections, how that compares to other municipalities?
I did not look at that. That is something that I can get back to you, but I'm assuming that we are probably pretty competitive when it comes to those because we haven't had that increase since 2019.
I think your point's well taken. In the future, they need to be reviewed on a regular basis to make sure that the fees cover the expenses.
Yeah. I'm assuming that considering how long it's been since some of these fees have been looked at, that we're still very competitive when it comes to those fees.
Any other questions from council? Dan, you look like you want to ask.
Well, the only thing I'm just glad to see, but we definitely want to be competitive. We don't want to be charging too much. So
Correct.
I'd rather we be on the lower end of that.
Yeah, and you know, we are taking that into consideration. So as we move forward, we will do some of those comparisons and looking to see where we're at. And if it happens to be that if we're going on 2.53% each year, and all of a sudden we're at the top end, that you know, we can come back and ask the council to change that resolution and keep those at a more moderate, pace or, hold them for a few years.
Well, and I think it's important to be competitive as long as we're not losing money.
Correct.
If we're losing money, then I think it defeats the purpose too.
Correct. So that's the balance that we're trying to have.
If there's no other questions from council, Chris will take the roll.
Councilmember Hoffman,
Yes.
Councilmember McIntyre,
Yes.
Councilmember Cavanagh,
Yes.
Councilmember Reed,
Yes.
Councilmember Galloway.
Yes.
Resolution number 89, 2025, establishing fees for plumbing permits in the city of Ottumwa, Iowa, and rescinding resolution number 292, 2016, effective July 1, 2025. Recommendation pass and adopt resolution number 89, 2025.
Is there a motion to approve the recommendation?
Move the recommendation.
Second.
Okay, Cole.
The resolution increases fee for each permit category by $5. The last increase in fees was 2016. The increase is part of recommended revenue enhancements discussed as part of the fiscal year 26 budget.
Council have any questions for Phil regarding this item? What did I say? I'm sorry.
So I guess I have a little question here, is these plumbing permits, and you've got everything over here, even like a water heater.
Yeah.
I guess I didn't realize, a plumbing permit was required to change a water heater.
Yes, it is. So it
No, I know.
it is required, but, if you look at it, water heater in a type, it's a $15 permit. So it isn't based like if.
So it doesn't matter whether you do it yourself or whether you hire it done.
Correct. Yeah, and it isn't, it isn't something where it's based upon the number of gallons or anything like that. So if you got a 100-gallon water heater, it costs you the same as if you have a 50-gallon water heater.
So swimming pools, are those in ground or above ground?
The swimming pool,
Swimming pool season.
Probably both.
probably both, yes.
Well, I'm gonna have to come get a permit.
If you have a plumber like do work for you and they replace a water heater or whatever, though, they just put that, they're responsible for getting the permit and they just probably pass that on to the consumer,
Well,
right?
what I would say is that a good plumber would be responsible to get the permit and pass that on to the consumer. There are some that are out there that will say, hey, you have to go get the permit.
Okay. Any other questions for Cole regarding plumbing permits? If not, Chris will take the roll.
Councilmember Hoffman,
Yes.
Councilmember McIntyre,
Yes.
Councilmember Cavanagh,
Yes.
Councilmember Reed,
Yes.
Councilmember Galloway.
Yes.
Resolution number 90, 2025, establishing fees for HVAC permits in the city of Ottumwa, Iowa, and rescinding resolution number 293, 2016, effective July 1, 2025. Recommendation pass and adopt resolution number 90, 2025.
Is there a motion to approve the recommendation?
Motion to approve.
Second. Okay, Mr. O'Donnell.
Similar to the plumbing fees, the proposed increases in HVAC permit and inspection fees are part of the proposed revenue enhancements discussed as part of the fiscal year 26 budget. All fees are increased by $5 and were last updated in 2016.
Council have any questions for Cole regarding this item?
You know what the fees were in 2016?
They were $5 less than what's published on the resolution.
Okay, thank you.
I do not know what they were increased from, right? So, in 2016, they might have increased $1 in each one, or they might have increased $2, something like that.
I understand. You answered my question. Thank you.
Any other questions from council? Chris, take the roll.
Councilmember Hoffman,
Yes.
Councilmember McIntyre,
Yes.
Councilmember Cavanagh,
Yes.
Councilmember Reed,
Yes.
Councilmember Galloway.
Yes.
Resolution number 91, 2025, establishing fees for electrical permits in the city of Ottumwa, Iowa, and rescinding resolution number 101, 2010, effective July 1, 2025. Recommendation pass and adopt resolution number 91, 2025.
Is there a motion to approve the recommendation?
Move the recommendation.
Second.
Okay, Cole.
This is the last fee resolution that we have on the agenda tonight. In review of permit fees, staff found that electrical permit fees had not been adjusted since 2010. Staff is proposing to increase fees over the next 2 fiscal years to more accurately reflect the cost of inspections and administration. The Building and Code Department now has a certified electrical inspector, and fees should be reasonably set to reflect the costs associated with the issuance of permits and inspections. The current and future fees are as follows. For a base fee is current $12. For July 1, 2025, we moved that to 20, and in 2026, we moved that to 30. Temporary service is currently 15. We moved to 25 in 2025, to 30 in 2026. A 200 amp service, $25 now, 35 in 25, 40 in 2016. Over 200 amps, it's currently 35, and we moved to 45 and 50. General wiring with 1 to 40 openings, $15 now, 25 and 30 are the increases. Over 40 per opening, 30 cents per opening, moved to 50 cents and remains 50 cents in 26. We felt that that was sufficient to cover those costs. Generators, currently 50, moving to 60, then 65. And re-inspections, $24, moving to 35 and then 45. And the re-inspections are for work because the original work was insufficient.
Council have any questions for Cole regarding the electrical permits? If not, Chris, take the roll.
Councilmember Hoffman,
Yes.
Councilmember McIntyre,
Yes.
Councilmember Cavanagh,
Yes.
Councilmember Reed,
Yes.
Councilmember Galloway.
Yes.
Resolution number 93, 2025, approving minimum assessment agreement related to the amended and restated Ottumwa Urban Revitalization Plan for the Ottumwa Urban Revitalization Area. Recommendation pass and adopt resolution number 93, 2025.
Is there a motion to approve the recommendation?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, Mr. O'Donnell, this is your last one.
This is the last one. So, and at the January 21, 2025 regular meeting, the city council approved a commercial tax abatement for 303 East Second Street with an estimated value of $24,355. House File 718 requires minimum assessment agreements be executed for the abatements. The resolution approves the agreement with a minimum assessment of $100,000.
Council have any questions for Cole regarding this minimum assessment agreement?
I don't really understand what we're being asked to do here.
So what it is we're estimating that the value of the improvements will cost $25,000. Currently, the property has a assessed value of about $99,000. What we would say, what this does, it says that the minimum assessed value is $100,000. So going forward, no matter what the assessor may think that the property is valued at, it's going to be $100,000 or more.
We do have numbers that say it was this and this
Yes,
work was
correct.
done, so that
Correct.
obviously gives us reason to assume it's $100,000.
Correct. So the $100,000 minimum is close to what it is currently, and once the improvements come on the rolls, then it should exceed that amount. And that amount is before any rollback.
Right. This is another one of those things in House File 718 created for the cities. Any other questions for Cole? If not, Chris, take the roll.
Councilmember Hoffman,
Yes.
Councilmember McIntyre,
Yes.
Councilmember Cavanagh,
Yes.
Councilmember Reed,
Yes.
Councilmember Galloway.
Yes.
Resolution number 94, 2025, joining the Tenco Foundation's Destination Iowa grant application and award as co-applicant and subrecipient. Recommendation pass and adopt resolution number 94, 2025.
Is there a motion to approve the recommendation?
To approve.
Thank you. Okay, I believe, Phil, you're gonna take this.
Thank you. The Tenco Foundation, in partnership with Legacy Foundation and First Resources Corporation, is applying for a $1.4 million grant as part of Iowa Economic Development Association, or IEDA's Destination Iowa program. Because the project is on city property and involves support from the city, IEDA has requested that the city join the project as co-applicant and subrecipient. Joining the project application does not increase the investment the city commits to the project. Additional financial support would require separate future action of the city council. As discussed in previous meetings, this project hits on 3 out of 4 core programs in the council's plan and will be a great asset to the city. So this is for the inclusive play space that would be on the east side of Market Street. As part of the dollars that the state is looking to help contribute towards that project, we would require this application, and that is the vehicle for helping pass those dollars. The city is being asked to, similar with the Sportsplex, to be able to sign on as a partner, co-applicant, subrecipient for that project.
These organizations really want to see a sensory park be built in Ottumwa. That's becoming a really big thing in a lot of cities, these sensory parks where they're really kind of focusing on handicapped children and adults, and they have a lot of sensory type of equipment that they can interact with in these sensory parks. And so it's something new Ottumwa doesn't have at this time, but a lot of communities are going to those. I think it's part of that whole downtown river development project, right?
Yeah, yep. So this is on the east side of the Market Street area. It's estimated to be about a $3.5 million place, about 8,200 square feet play space, including fully inclusive and accessible restroom, multiple play zones, a sensory wall, include the parking lot, bus drop off, and improved trail connection. So that's all part of the full project in order to get the 1.4 million from the state. This is the vehicle to do that.
And just in case anybody's wondering, this does not remove the Rotary Garden that's on that east side of the Market Street Bridge. That's going to stay in place as part of the front development project. So this will kind of be built around it, I think, or next to it, right?
Yeah, yes, this is a grant, would not be used for roads or road related, other than the parking lot.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Council, have any questions for Phil regarding this project?
It's a great one to support.
Me too. If not, Chris, go ahead and take the roll.
Councilmember Hoffman,
Yes.
Councilmember McIntyre,
Yes.
Councilmember Cavanagh,
Yes.
Councilmember Reed,
Yes.
Councilmember Delaware.
Yes.
Resolution number 97, 2025, approving the agreement between the city of Ottumwa and Calhoun Burns and Associates Incorporated for professional engineering services to conduct the 2025-2026 biennial bridge inspections. Recommendation pass and adopt resolution number 97, 2025.
Is there a motion to approve the recommendation?
Move the recommendation.
Second. Okay, Phil, sorry.
Thank you, Mayor. So the Iowa Department of Transportation requires all bridges to be inspected every 2 years. The scope of this work includes routine inspections of 10 vehicle bridges and 2 pedestrian bridges. It updates the load rating calculations if necessary, and also the scour evaluation. All works to be in accordance with the Iowa Department of Transportation and Federal Highway Administration guidelines requirements. The numbers here, 2025, there's 2 bridges on there for $20,000. The reason that 2 bridges are so high is because Jefferson Street Bridge is one of them.
Right.
And that one requires like a 3-day inspection. They get a snooper truck and inspect every joint and every connection in that bridge. And then 2026, there's 8 more bridges at a lump sum cost of $4,000. I don't think we're gonna need any scour evaluation or load rating computations, but they put those in there just in case. There'll probably be a few hours for data entry, and that's $350 an hour. And then $18,500 for equipment cost. That's the cost of the equipment they need to inspect the Jefferson Street Bridge. So this is routine. If you can't count 10 bridges in Ottumwa, it's because any culvert wider than 20 feet is also a bridge. So you'll see bridges that are, you won't think it's a bridge, but they consider that a bridge. So
Would that be like the one in Wildwood Park?
that's not 20 feet wide, but yeah, double box culvert like that. Ward Street culvert on that curve,
Okay.
that one's along the lines of the road is wider than 20 feet. So that's one of them.
How long will Jefferson Street Bridge be closed? Does it close?
Yeah, it closes for like 2 or 3 days. Just during the day while they're inspecting it. They can't do that with traffic on the bridge.
Do we have an estimate of the life of Jefferson Street Bridge?
Pretty much every year they inspect it, since we did the rehabilitation on it, they've said 8 to 10 years, and it's because with that age of a bridge and the type of bridge it is, they don't feel comfortable saying any longer than that. But it's been 8 to 10 years for at least the last 4 to 6 years, so,
So it's still up to 10 years.
still like the 10 years, there hasn't been any deterioration that signifies to them it should be any less than that.
But at some point, it is gonna have to be closed down permanently, and the city's gonna have to build a new bridge across there, right?
Eventually, yeah, it's load rated right now, so it's already, you can't drive a load semi across it or anything.
That's gonna be a big challenge for the city to figure out how to finance that, cause that would be over a $20 million project, I'm sure.
I don't know, I actually had budget for a feasibility study in FY 26 to look at that, what the options are for the bridge.
That would be good.
So is this all of our bridges then that have to be inspected? Is this the total count of bridges? that have to
Yes.
be inspected?
Yep.
So like the one on Park that goes over the highway, is that on one of these?
That,
The new one that was just built.
no, that's a
So-
DOT.
That's a DOT one?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay. I just
That's
think,
not
I think there's a few more or something to think of that I was.
The Eisenhower Bridge is ours, that pedestrian bridge over
Yes.
49 is ours. The one in Kettle Creek, that pedestrian bridge over Kettle Creek, and I think Wildwood Park, that one's ours as well. Then like on Sheridan is our culvert, and it lists all the locations on here.
Any other questions for Philip regarding this? If not, Chris will take the roll.
Councilmember Hoffman,
Yes.
Councilmember McIntyre,
Yes.
Councilmember Cavanagh,
Yes.
Councilmember Reed,
Yes.
Councilmember Galloway.
Yes.
Resolution number 98, 2025, accepting the work as final and complete and approving the final pay request for the South Milner Street reconstruction Porterfield to Hand project. Recommendation, pass and adopt resolution number 98, 2025.
Is there a recommendation? Is there a motion to approve the recommendation?
Move the recommendation.
Second.
Okay, Philip.
Thank you, Mayor. So this project consists of the full depth, full width reconstruction of South Milner Street from Hand to Porterfield. It also include installation of a separate storm sewer system. Original contract amount was $887,000, $887,685.30. Change order reduced that amount by $1,505.56 for a final contract amount of $886,179.74. The final payment will be for $61,069.70 to Drish Construction of Fairfield, Iowa. So this is just a summary of the street here. So it was, like I said, the final cost was $886,179.74. It installed around 1,500 lineal feet of storm sewer and 12 new intakes. That was new separated storm because it was combined before. 4,682 square yards of street pavement, which is about 1,150 lineal feet, which is about 0.2 miles of street. 450 square yards of driveway and 603 square yards of sidewalk, which is about 1,350 linear feet of sidewalk. There's a little bit of sidewalk on the east side, sidewalk all down the west side of the street, a little bit on the east side, and then we have some little tie-in sidewalks to the side streets as well. So this is some pictures of the project. This shows the storm sewer system, kind of looking at this in order of how it's built. So this is the first thing they did was start the outlet of the storm sewer system. It outlets into Jefferson Street drainage ditch. It shows the apron and the first couple sections of pipe. Next one, this is just the storm sewer as it's being laid on the regular street. So you got storm sewer here, you got the gravel bedding right here, and then you see there's 2 lifts of dirt behind it. So it kind of shows you all the stages of storm sewer construction. The next slide shows what an intake looks like underground. So there's 12 of these intakes on there. The reason it's shaped like this is because there's a manhole behind the curb. So otherwise it'd been a little bit narrower. Next slide is once all the storm sewer is in, they prepare the subgrade. The subgrade here is all compacted and leveled and graded. I believe it's during the proof roll. So you can see there's no ruts on it. So that's what we're looking for, is the solid dry sub base that doesn't rut, you know, drive a truck across it. And this shows sub drain, so you see like they dig the trench out, they put a little bit of rock in the bottom of it. They'll lay their sub drain on top of that bedding rock and they'll fill the rest of the trench up with, it's a drainable, it's a clean, like 3/8 inch chip, so it drains very well. And then once the sub drain is in, you put the 6-inch modified sub base on there, which is a crushed limestone. And that provides like a drainage layer, so any water that gets through the pavement can drain sideways along the dirt, and then it'll drain into the sub drain trenches and it drains into the storm sewer. This was the start of pavement, so you see the concrete truck there, and they're just starting to pave. You see the dowel baskets over here. They'll leave the baskets out, and they'll paint where they belong, but they'll leave them across here so that way the trucks can get in as they're backing down the road. This is the pavement once it's done. This is the mainline pavement. You see right here where they box out for the intakes and the box out for the manhole covers, and you know, there's a driveway right here where they drop the curb for a driveway. So once the mainline pavement's done, there's still a lot of steps left to do. Next slide. So here they are pouring one of the street returns. And then this is a driveway. So there's lots of street returns and driveways that go into every project. If you go to the next one, we got sidewalk along here. So they got the sidewalk. That sidewalks usually last once they do the driveways and everything. They'll form the sidewalk into the driveways as they pour the driveways back, but they'll connect the sidewalk through the driveways as kind of the last step.
Are those always 4-foot wide sidewalks?
Sometimes. So the DOT requires 5-foot wide sidewalks in all their projects they fund. We do 4-foot wide sidewalks because it's cheaper, and as long as you have a flat driveway every couple hundred feet where people can turn around at and pass at, it's okay. And it's flat enough on the south side that, you know, most driveways are compliant enough where you can pass at driveways. This shows the final product. Our drone pilot was out sick the last few days, so I couldn't get any cool drone shots of it, but you can see the pavement looks really nice. The grass is coming in well. Yeah, so there's one more picture. Yeah, that's just from a different angle. You can see the, you know, new pavement and all the light colored concrete's new. And like I said, the grass is coming real well. It looks good.
Council have any questions for Philip regarding this project?
Looks good. I assume you guys are happy with the work that was done.
Yep.
They wouldn't sign off on it if they weren't happy.
If they signed it, I guess we got paid.
And if something comes up, we have a 4-year performance bond. So if anything underground works its way up to the surface and, you know, you got cracked pavement or something, we can go back the next 4 years and have them come back and fix it.
Good.
Any other questions from council? If not, Chris, take the roll.
Councilmember Hoffman,
Yes.
Councilmember McIntyre,
Yes.
Councilmember Cavanagh.
Yes.
Councilmember Reed,
Yes.
Councilmember Galloway.
Yes.
The next agenda item is our public forum for non-agenda items. And since we didn't have anybody that indicated they wanted to speak, I don't think we'll go ahead and read the thing we normally read. The last item on our agenda is mayor, city council report and or communications. I don't have anything specific I wanna say tonight under this area, but does any of the council have any communications that they wanna make?
This Monday, is Memorial Day, and every Memorial Day, the VFW and American Legion does a program over at the Jimmy Jones Shelter. It will start at 10 a.m. and last about 45 minutes. At the end of the program, for the last 6 or 7 years, the Honor Guard is gonna read all the names that veterans that we buried from last Memorial Day to this one. And then we'll fire and play taps to close it out. And our keynote speaker this year is retired attorney Richard Calmer, who most people don't know, but he's a Vietnam veteran. And so it's a very nice service.
It is.
He's a good speaker.
And it starts right at 10.
And Councilman McIntyre is one of the main Honor Guard people, so he's always been involved in all these as well. Anybody else have any other announcements they'd like to make?
I'm good.
Okay. If nobody has any other communications or announcements, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn our city council meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Chris will take the roll.
Councilmember Hoffman,
Yes.
Councilmember McIntyre,
Yes.
Councilmember Cavanagh,
Yes.
Councilmember Reed,
Yes.
Councilmember Galloway.
Yes.
We are adjourned and thank you for coming and everybody have a great Memorial Day and City Hall and all the city offices are closed on Monday. I believe the county ones are too.
That's there.